Welcome to another presentation by A Bit of Advice. Here to remind you we are not financial advisors, we are consultants, and this is an educational video to help you understand more about Bitcoin. I'm going to refer to Bitcoin obituaries today just so we can see how many times Bitcoin has supposedly died and also the fear associated with markets. So, with that being said, this is going to be about market trends and psychology and fear and the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's what that stands for. We here out a picture of a couple of the prices of Bitcoin, but today we're going to actually look at the Bitcoin chart and we're going to investigate three all-time high periods for Bitcoin here highlighted on the chart. And what we're going to do is we're going to look to see if there are any similarities when Bitcoin hits an all-time high and maybe some lessons that we can learn from what has happened in previous all-time high periods. This is called doing your due diligence, and you want to make sure before you make any investment you want to study and analyze and get as much information about the coin as you can. So in the first period, we're looking at June 2014. We can see that the Bitcoin was below $300 at this point. And it shot up to right under $1,200. Alright? So we've seen a 4 times gain at that time. So what happens when people see profits? People like to take a little profits off and put a little bit in their pocket a little bit, right? That's the psychology of the market, right? After that, the price dropped down to the $800 and $900 range. So what do we see? We seen a big pop, then we seen a drop, then we seen a sideways trend. And this was in 2014. Alright? Now, what's important is we're going to go to the Bitcoin obituaries because we want to see what the news was saying about Bitcoin then. Bitcoin obituary. Why Bitcoin is doomed as a currency. An early obituary for Bitcoin. One thing you can bank on, the Bitcoin currency is doomed. Now, you know, hindsight is 100% like they say, but we can look back at this now at 2014 and we can say, man, these guys wasn't able to see the big picture about Bitcoin, and that's what this is about, the big picture. Here we are looking at the big picture, right? So we see this a nice gap between the next periods that we're going to analyze, which was just past June and July. But this was a time when not a lot of people knew anything about Bitcoin. Most was computer geeks or people using the Silk Road. So this was a period of early adoption. We're still in a period of early adoption, as it's estimated that less than 2 or 3% of the world know anything about Bitcoin. Congratulations on being on that. So at this period, what we see was the price of Bitcoin was slightly above $1,000 before it shot up to an all-time high at that time of $3,000, which again was a 3 times profit. And then it dropped down under $2,000. So we see, and then we see the same sideways trend again. So now we see the second time that this phenomenon happened. We see a big jump to all-time high. People take a little profits. Yeah, the market looks a little, it goes to the sideways a little bit, and that's what it does a little bit before it's getting ready for its next pop. Because we got to understand that because of the finite value, the finite number of Bitcoin and the adoption rate that we're approaching, we can expect a steady higher lifting curve. But don't try to tell that to the media or these guys, because they want to keep you confused about it because they don't understand it themselves. Bitcoin obituary. Bitcoin and Ethereum, both soon obsolete. Why Bitcoin can't serve as a currency. Stay away from Bitcoin. It's complete garbage. Now, again, we need to take a step back and look at the big picture. The big picture is, do you know how many people was probably really upset that they sold off Bitcoin in January 14th and then it rose to, like I said, below $3,000? They was pretty upset because they missed out on a chance to be a millionaire. And if they had fallen for some of all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt that this market produces, you know, they'd probably be having a whole lot of more money now. So you need to rest confidence in the fact that you understand why Bitcoin has value, and let's see why it continues to grow. In this last period that Bitcoin reached an all-time high, we see that it was previously below $3,000, but it shot up to over $5,000, right at $5,000. Now, the question is, where is it going to drop? Now, you can go check with your chart guys and analysis and technical analysis guys and let them try to predict what's going on with this chart. I'm not worried about it because I've been studying, like we said, we just broke down the trends. We're looking at what's going on when it hits an all-time high, when 5,000 is a big, pretty number. So people made a lot of profits. They're selling off. Right now, there's a lot of FUD coming from China amidst China concerns of what China is going to do. But that doesn't bother us because we're still looking at the big picture. And although we wasn't in at the early stages, we still see and believe that Bitcoin still has a long way to go. Right? So, what is popping in the Bitcoin obituary today? JP Morgan, CEO, says Bitcoin is a fraud that will eventually blow up. Why China crushed Bitcoin? Bitcoin, Ether, and others will be seeing the beginning of the end. All of this stuff sounds real familiar, doesn't it? Haven't we heard this song before? Now, the ironic thing is we look at this site always puts the price next to it. And the price of the Bitcoin continues to rise, but people still continue to say it's going to die. So let's put it all together in conclusion. What we noticed from looking at the charts, we looked at a trend. We seen Bitcoin hit an all-time high, have a sell-off, sideways trend, and what they call a correction before it takes off again. That's the trend we've noticed during a couple of all-time high periods. So with that in mind, and understanding why Bitcoin has value, understanding the purpose of Bitcoin being decentralization from the banks and institutions, let's do a little psychology, right? If you were a bank, if you owned a bank or you was in the banking industry or that was how you made your money, would you want all your clients leaving to go participate in cryptocurrency so that you wouldn't get none of their money no more? That makes sense for them to say, Bitcoin is going to be a bubble, it's going to break, get your money out. They not even trying, they probably do understand the system and they want to make sure you don't. So that's why a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt is put into the market. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and the whole blockchain technology in itself is putting a lot of pressure on the big institutional players that have dominated the financial arena. With this central theme of decentralization, these people are no longer going to get paid the way they used to, and that is accumulating fees from us, the people. So with all of that in mind, you have to understand why there's so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt that is propagated into the market so that the big institutional players can still win. Because we also have to remember that the coin Ripple is for the banks. So that's not to say that they don't understand what's going on and they're not getting involved. There's a coin specifically for banks called Ripple. So that will conclude our presentation for today. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the market with some of the FUD that's going on right now. If you have any questions or you want to talk more about it, please email me, abitofadviceconsulting@gmail.com. Thanks.